All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the 34th episode of The Get Down. My name is Cream.
Gary W. here.
Our guest this week is my man, Bobby Hendrickson of the Electric Cult. What up, Bobby?
Hey, what's up, fellas? How we doing? What's going on?
You know, we're chilling.
Nice.
Well, you're
number 34 here.
Yeah, 34. Every week I say I can't believe it's been this many. And also on the chilling side of things, we're down here in Florida, relaxing. Me and Bobby are down. He's down in Miami. I'm in Orlando, and then there's Cream, 18 degrees and snowy.
Yeah, this is my life. You know, I got to make some better life choices, I think.
We got to bust your balls out here once in a while.
We'll spread some sunshine through the camera straight by.
Yeah,
you can feel the tan off of us.
So we wanted to have Bobby on the show because I think you bring a little different perspective than a lot of the guests that we've had on. So tell us a little bit about what the Electric Cult is, and then we can dig into some of the things that you and we're doing that are similar and how we're dealing with it.
Sure, definitely. So I usually, when I'm like talking to new clients or explaining to people the backstory of what the Electric Cult is, I tell them, let me give you a quick elevator pitch, but this elevator is going to the top of the Empire State Building. So it might be a little longer than a normal elevator pitch. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of the background here. So initially, about 2.5 years ago in college, I started a third-party booking agency that was like fraternity centric out of Arizona State University with my partner, Ash. And we booked over like 150 college shows ranging from like Noizu, Two Friends, Lil Dicky, you name it, right? So as we were doing this, we were booked about like 150 shows. And I was a big role that I had was like managing and doing the hospitality for these artists in these shows. So I show up to the events, kind of manage what was happening, see what was going on, make sure the artist was taken care of. Built like a lot of networking and connections that way, and also would meet up with the frat kids to make sure they didn't get too drunk and like piss on the artist, right? So
destroy the equipment or something like that.
Piss on the equipment, piss on the artist, like make sure the shit went through. So after doing this a few times, I ended up recognizing that there was a problem in the EDM industry when it came to like personal branding with DJs. So when you think of like rap music or country, like every single one of those fans knows what they eat for breakfast, what's on their chain, what kind of hats they wear, what shoes they rock, right? When it comes to EDM artists, that's not as much the case unless your name's like Dylan Francis or Diplo. Other artists that are like middle tier to like almost higher tier that have good music that are put out there that everyone hears at the clubs, they don't know what that guy or girl looks like in real life or what they really are like. So I decided to start a content curation company where I would help personalize these DJs with their fans that would entail like boost their branding, their personal branding. I would supply them with content so that they could connect with their audience and kind of skip the challenges of like managing their own social medias through like figuring out those different loopholes so that I could help them out and create a different outlet, right? So I was supposed to launch that down in Miami a year ago, right? For Miami Music Week. I was like, all right, I got this fucking idea. I got these connections. I partnered up with this company called 747 Presents down here, another one called Denial Events. And I was supposed to interview all these big DJs like Steve Aoki, Cheat Codes, all these people, and like give like a Miami Music Week experience. That didn't happen because of COVID, right? So here we are. COVID hits. We're all put in the same shitty situation. We got to figure shit out. Everything's bouncing off the walls. I'm like, fuck, I had this whole game plan. I was like, this is going to work. I'm going to the moon, right? And obviously that fell through. So I had to pivot. So at the time when I pivoted, what I did was I like tried to figure out a way to incorporate other people in the EDM community to like keep them entertained other than artists because I didn't have access to artists due to COVID. So I organized like an online dancing event. And what I did was I reached out to a bunch of these shufflers. And for those of you watching, if you don't know what shuffling is, it's that crazy gliding dance that people do when they're grooving on the dance floor, mainly to like house music or some shit. And it started to get really big in the Instagram and social media space. So I reached out to a lot of influencers, organized like a dancing competition, got someone to put up some money for like some winners to win, and created a community around dancers within the Electric Cult community. That's kind of like my start to how I launched like my company originally, was I built that community of people. So dope. I built that community of people and like got a bunch of their loyalty, and I always try to give back to them as much as possible, feature them. And in doing so, then I started to get access to artists again come like May, right? So May came around. I went to Arizona. I did my first interview with DJ Bijou. You guys know who DJ Bijou is?
Yeah, I watched the interview.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So he's like G House Wizard. Yeah. Really good. Headlined EDC a few years in a row. Bijou's a pretty good friend of mine now. We keep in touch. So I went out there and I did my first interview with him. And I was like, fuck yeah. Like, this is the start. Like, this is where I now start working with artists and helping them curate content. So once I did that, I ended up reaching out to EDM.com and like creating like a publication partnership to like get the interview as much exposure as possible. And like, since I was a startup at the time, I didn't have the audience really to reach who I wanted to reach. So I had to use other strategies and find different news outlets. So reached out to EDM.com through one of my connects. And they were like, all right, this is dope. And Bijou's management was like, this is dope. I curated the interview. We put it out there. I got his story out there. And he was definitely the first DJ to like really get his story out there through an interview. Like, and the style that we did it was we overlaid a bunch of B-roll from his previous shows. And it was really awesome.
Yeah, we've done a lot of like videos with, you know, one of our partners, our guy, Brandon, has done a ton of video with us. So we've seen kind of a lot of like the back end creation process of like shooting the B-roll and then like interlacing in the video. And I watched both the interviews you did with Bijou and then with Nico and Sway. Nice. And they were shot totally differently, which I thought was really cool. Because, you know, just artistically, it was definitely cool. And they both they both are really good, but they were totally different. So that was super dope.
Yeah. So like how I like to portray these interviews is like, I wanted to cater to who the artist is, right? So I want to portray these interviews how the artist wants to be either portrayed or their brand to be put out there. So also I want to note that Bijou was the first one we did. So like since then, our style and our ability to interview and edit content now is like fucking 80 levels up. Like we've leveled up a ton, learned a bunch of tricks, like met a bunch of other editors that we could like outsource work to and like figured out a bunch of tricks and tips, right? Given like that's still a dope interview, but we definitely have a lot of different stylistic changes up until this point. So like Nico and Swear, like kind of goofier, funnier, like DJs, they had residency in Vegas with the Hakkasan group. So they were playing over there and that was like really based upon that and their start. That was cool. I went to Newport Beach, California, interviewed them in their home. It was beautiful. We made some ice cream together because they got an ice cream logo and we fucked around, played Never Have I Ever. And they told me stories in their pants, but like they never got on there. So they got stuff like that. They didn't actually pee their pants, but like dumb conversations because they're goofy guys.
So I want to take a quick step back here, right? So
please. Yeah. By the way, if I'm going too fast, stop me.
Nah, you're good,
Listen,
man.
A bunch of Jersey guys here.
Yeah, three Jersey guys talking, using our hands a lot. Yeah. Like, let's go.
I got my Yankee hat on. I'm
like, before we got on, I'm like, yeah, you're gonna love this guy. He's like super Jersey, real personable. Like he's like one of us.
Real nice and easy.
There it is.
No, so you started with like the shufflers, which I think was cool. And that's like a whole other world, like deeper into the EDM culture world that I think a lot of people don't really realize how big those people are. So I think that was smart because you build this loyalty in this group of people that in the shuffle world, and then, you know, like they break artists and they break music. And like, you now have this group of people that can really like actually sell records behind the scene. And I don't know if people really understand that. So
in a time, I'm sorry to cut you off, but in a time where breaking records like that, like has gone out the window for years. Like, you know, like labels are just putting records out. So like for a content creator to put a record on the map is almost unheard of and kind of like new, you know, within the last year or so.
Yeah. Was that something that you had like planned out, or did you just say like, oh, I'm going to do these dance contests. I think it'd be cool to have on the site or the page.
Yo, I'm going to be completely honest. I winged the process and it somehow came together. Like I initially didn't plan on like incorporating really shufflers. I knew what shuffling was. My brother, Tommy, fucking shuffled all the time in college. It was awesome. And like, I always thought it was cool, but I didn't understand the community aspect. And then as COVID hit, these shufflers in this community started to get recognized 10, 20x. They started getting millions of followers on TikTok. They started getting 100,000s of followers on Instagram. And like the shuffling age started taking over in EDM music. So now these dancers and content curators have a certain amount of impressions on an EDM community. So when I partner them with an artist to do a song promotion, that artist's song is now being heard through their dance videos 100,000 more times just
Right.
from one shuffling video. You know what I mean? So like they really do have a huge impact, and they're really great people, and they're special people. They're fun, they're creative, they're super nice. So I like that they took off, but it adds such a different facet to what's going on.
Right. And whether you like knew that was going to happen or not, I think that's a glimpse into like how things are really working now in the music industry, where everything is on its head, and influencers and social media and TikTok and all this stuff can really, really, really sell your records more than the traditional routes of labels, or, you know, like even like blog posts aren't as influential anymore. It's kind of crazy.
Crazy. It's insane. Social media has such an impact and influence. And there's this one kid on TikTok who like lists out like similar to what Angelo does with his like DJ like records, like of like, I don't know, Tiesto top 5, right?
Yeah.
This one kid on TikTok, he's got a really big following. And I know of labels and managers that pay him money to get put on that list on social media, just to show the pure power now that like someone that can figure out how to use their phone the right way and tactics on social media, like they can help out artists and make money on their own.
Yeah. Artists and their management are definitely reaching out to influencers that can help sell records 100% and offering them money to literally feature their artist song in some way. Like that's real life right now.
Facts. No, I know it's happening. Facts.
I mean, is it safe to say that content creators are the most influential marketers out, period?
Whoa.
I know that's a heavy comment, but like,
that's a heavy comment.
There are influencers at the top of certain industries that are walking away from big brand partnerships that they've had because they don't want to deal with, you know, the rules and restrictions of what that partner wants them to do. So like for one, that's off the top of my head, somebody that I follow just walked away from a Nike deal. That's unheard of. Who walks away from Nike? But like, wow. You know what? You have you have that much power in your content that you can go and do things like that. That's nuts.
I mean, to a degree, I mean, they are running their own brand and their own business when they get a big enough of a following, right? They have a lot of value, especially if it aligns to that brand's audience, right? So I'm assuming your friend was in fitness or some shit, or an athlete, maybe.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
Yeah, something like that. So like, yeah, when it comes to like these EDM influencers, like, yeah, they make partnerships with these labels. Like they get managers essentially themselves who are extremely connected with other artists that can basically, that's in a network where if an artist wants to put out a track, like it gets put into this funnel and that manager hears about it and they're like, yo, let's just say influencer X, like you want to do this for like $2,500 and you throw up this post and do another story post. And like, this is what you're gonna do to promote the song. That's what it's like now. It's pretty awesome and crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we for our learning course, our master course, Get Down University, that was a strategy of ours where it was like, hey, let's find 10 TikTok influencers similar to Angelo, who had a big following in this world of DJs and, you know, in the music world. And let's offer them a flat rate. And then let's offer them an affiliate percentage of anything that they can sell. And like, that was legit one of our strategies for selling our course. So
if that's not part of your marketing strategy, then like you're behind tenfold, right? I mean, it's
100%.
So real quick, I want to go back to, because you were throwing parties back at ASU, right? And yes. How did it escalate into booking like big name DJs? Was it just as simple as like an email, or like did you just have the right connections and networking, et cetera? Because it was like, oh, we're throwing parties at ASU and we booked X, Y, and Z huge names. I was like, well, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, it did escalate kind of quickly. But so like I was the social chair of my fraternity. So I was the
social chair of my fraternity as well.
So, you get it. We were booking all the parties, and at Arizona State, our fraternities were big enough to where we would have a big social budget and we would plan out big parties to set aside to book artists, right? So like even before I got there, my fraternity was doing that kind of stuff. And then when I got there, I kind of learned like the ropes behind how that worked. And I was like, all right, boys, like we're gonna DJ and we're gonna fucking party. Like October 31st, Halloween, like tell the sororities, like, let them know. So that kind of shit. And I started learning like logistics behind that. But it was just that. It was me just like booking shows for my fraternity and like like I learned how to organize a budget and get contact with DJs through like older guys and stuff. But how I ended up going to this other booking agency, which was called The Social Chair, was I got approached by one of my friends' friends who was doing a lot of these bookings in the Dallas area. So he was running all the Texas schools, and he was already like well-versed in the market. And he was like, yo, I need help booking these shows. I kind of need a partner here. I need someone's like assistance to like manage all the shit I got going on. So I got approached from a friend of a friend that just recommended me. And then I was the fraternity kid doing fraternity shit. And then when I passed it down to like a younger guy and I was over that stuff, this happened like a year after that. I got approached by someone. They were like, yo, are you interested in doing this? And I was like, yeah, I love the music industry. I love booking shows. Like, let's do it. I'm down. He kind of taught me the ropes. He had all the connections when it came to like managers and artists because he was already doing it for like a year and a half. So he had a lot of connections. And he was the one that like showed me, like put my hand into the industry where I really had connections.
Man, I feel like big schools, sometimes you have that, how would you say, that opportunity almost. Whereas like if you went to like a 3,000 person school, like the likelihood of you throwing a big event, you know, is a lot less likely unless you're like an ASU or a Princeton or a, you know, a Rutgers even. You know, there's just more opportunity. And I feel like you're always surrounded by people from all over the country. So the possibility of a lot of different connections is great.
Yes. Especially in Arizona, I will say, because Arizona State is right near Scottsdale. So that attracts a lot of people to come there. And like Scottsdale's a big destination, like rich guy kind of place for like people from LA, people from Texas, people from Florida. So like a bunch of these people are always coming into the Scottsdale, Arizona area, right where Arizona State is. So like you mingle with it, and Vegas, you mingle with a ton of those people, and there's a bunch of industry people there that just pop up, or like famous people or credible people. So it's like a big melting pot of like people from all over the place of that specific location.
Yeah, I hear nothing but good things. Definitely a destination I want to hit up. You know, there's
definitely should. Yeah.
Nightlife is supposed to be top notch. And then, you know, just a gorgeous place to visit. And the golf is supposed to be really good.
Yes. So yeah. If you're into that, it's beautiful there. It's beautiful.
Can we talk about how like colleges and fraternities and sororities, they literally give the power to one person or a group of people to book like a $20,000 artist. Like yep. I did some shows in Princeton, like opening for Cheat Codes and opening for Loud Luxury. And it was literally like I guess she was like the social chair or whatever at Princeton, like bringing in these giant acts and massive stage and lighting and all this shit. And it's like, this girl's like 20, 21, like with the power to do this. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't even know. You just get handed the role at that age at some point, but someone's got to step up.
Were you doing any like nightlife promotions also? Like, was that something you were doing also, or is this completely different?
I was doing promotions. I was a promoter from the age of 21 to 23, like kind of like to make like a little bit of cash while I went out and also like drink for free at the same time. So I could save money in college, low key. But that wasn't really, that didn't really affiliate with me booking stuff. It did a little bit down the line where I would book some artists at the clubs I was working at. But like that, I only crossed that line maybe once or twice.
Right.
But I was a promoter for a bit.
Were you always like a huge fan of the EDM scene?
Oh, loved it. Ever since my brother actually just walked in here. My brother went to Rutgers 4 years before me. And when I was 14, my brother's boys put on this cap slap mix. And I was going to basketball and I took some C4 and I was like, what is this? I was like, what is this music? You know? And from there on, I swear to God, I started listening to more EDM and I became addicted to it. I was like, this music's awesome. The energy it gives people, like, it's all good vibes. It's happy music. And from that day on, I'm obsessed with it. I'm literally obsessed with it.
Yeah, man, I was always a big hip hop guy. And then like, I don't really remember how I got put on. Actually, I think my roommate in college was into like Tiesto and kind of put me on to like trance Tiesto. And then it kind of just like went from there where like now it's at a point where I don't even listen to hip hop. It's like all house all the time, all EDM. And I love it too. It's crazy how that can happen.
It's great. Yeah. Speaking of Tiesto, you guys know, kind of, you know that song Secrets he has with Kashmir?
Yeah.
I just got hit up by them to do an interview with him actually in a month. So I'm definitely going to bring that shit up to him. The old school.
Yeah, man. Cashmere has, for all the DJs, all the producers that are listening, like Cashmere basically runs Splice. Like all his, I don't know if you know what Splice is, but it's basically like an app or a site where you can download chords, loops, and sounds. And Cashmere's, all his sounds are like super top notch. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know Cashmere more from that end than his music. Like I know he's a real dope producer, but.
Yeah. Shout out. I know he's got some things up his sleeve soon. I can't really talk about right now, but yeah, keep an eye out for the boy.
All right. So I think something that we talk about with a lot of our guests, you had mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, but COVID ruined it for everybody and you had to pivot, right? So yeah. How did you pivot? And do you have like a plan? I know we all were just struggling to kind of figure it out. And like, what did you do when all this went down and how did you get to where you are now?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, like like I said, I was going down to Miami Music Week, was going to get a bunch of this content. And I was like, okay, like I'm going to be actually the only guy with a bunch of this personalized, like dope content. I knew I had a great editing team and production team. I was like, I'm going to have Steve Aoki. I'm going to have cheat codes. Like I'm going to get shots of these guys doing funny shit. I'm going to get shots of these guys talking about real shit. I'm going to get shots of these guys walking on stage, like a bunch of this backstage dope footage while real footage to give people an experience like, oh, this is what goes down. Right. And I was like, I'm going to the moon. Like I said, and my Music Week got canceled a week before it was supposed to happen. So like I was getting ready to gear up. COVID was starting to spread around. I was like, shit, is this virus thing really real? Like, is this happening? So yeah, that kind of like, it put me like I didn't know what to do for about 2-3 weeks. And then I game planned with a few guys that I was working with at the time. And actually one of them was like, yo, like, it was my brother actually at the time. He was like, yo, like we should do a shuffling contest with these shufflers. Like these shufflers are sick. And I was thinking about it. I was like, is that something we could really pull off? Like, is that even going on? Like shuffle contests? I didn't even really know what that was. So ended up doing that, just like ran with it. And it got a shit ton of traction, like engaged like the whole community of these dancers and got them involved to like engage with like the shuffle contest. We would get up to 1,000 comments on posts with a profile with 2,000 followers, which was like insane, you know? So like we just engaged this community. And then like after that, I was like, all right, what's the next move? What's happening? And then I was like continuously reaching out to artists, but I had no real credibility when it came to curating content at the time because I hadn't made anything. My Music Week was going to be when I was going to make a bunch of this shit. And I was like, here's my credibility. I can do whatever now, right? So I was reaching out, and finally I got reached out to from Bijou. And like I said, I did that interview with him. And after I did that interview, my boy was living out in Los Angeles with a bunch, and that's where like a lot of DJs are. And I was like, I got to move to Los Angeles. Like that's where I got to go if I want to reach out to artists and work with artists. Like I tried in New York. It was kind of tough at the time. I had some communication with Sid. Shout out Sid. I didn't have any communication with Zach Martino yet, but I ended up doing work with him pretty recently. Shout out Zach Martino, he's the boy. And so I went out to Los Angeles and I was like, all right, this is my pivot. When I went out there, I was just surrounded by so many people that it enabled me to start curating more content. So then I linked up with Nico and Sway. Then I linked up with the Lost Kings. I ended up shelving a bunch of Riggy and Piro's content that I was able to release. And then that ended up like just funneling down. I started meeting more managers. I was in the right place, right? Los Angeles is just kind of the right place for that kind of stuff I was trying to do. Ended up meeting Matoma's manager. I just did an interview with Matoma not too long ago, which was dope. Then I kind of fast forward to where I am right now. I'm like a little bit on pause on the social media side of things and shelving a bunch of this artist content to like release a bunch of stuff at once so it's consistent. And I like make like a series out of what I'm trying to create. And like on top of that, I'm also doing merchandising on the side where I'm doing different advertisements through like Facebook ads, like targeting specific audiences with through like cool clothes, like bucket hats, different masks, like these like dream catchers we've been using on Pinterest, which is actually a very different way to do advertising and it weirdly works. So yeah, here I am now here and we're gearing up to kind of have shows coming back. And I just got reached out to from, I don't even know if I can talk about this, but fuck it, I'll say it. I just got reached out.
You don't have to. we can cut it if you don't want to. If you don't want to.
Well, I'm pretty sure I can talk about it, but just got reached out to from James. You know James Kennedy.
Yeah.
Reality dude. He's being a DJ now. Yeah. He's
I
doing
DJ'd with him at DJs.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's doing a show over here. He's getting booked for that right now. Right, and they're locked it in. And I'm doing like another day in the life show experience for the first time.
He's a maniac, bro. He was hanging out at our house for a little bit. Like he was loving
it. Is he crazy?
He likes to party, man. He was having a good time.
I think he's been sober now.
Really?
Yeah. I think he's been sober now. So I think
all right.
He's on the sober streak. So I'll gauge that.
All right. Yeah.
But yeah, so now my next steps here are to like start like giving people experiences about who DJs are through content curation interviews, but also through show experiences to get them hyped about who that artist is and maybe become a fan, buy a ticket to their next show because they see a cool piece of content.
So let me jump in. When you're either booking artists or you're doing interviews, do you have like a list of people that you're trying to work with, or are you just using your connections and whatever your connections bring you, that's kind of who you're working with?
Yeah, I'm just like, I have a CRM list, like a client, like customer list that I like have stored away. But as of right now, when it comes to booking shows, I haven't even thought about that yet, to tell you the truth. I've mainly been focusing on like content curation, interviews, and like handling the media side of things right now. Because like I don't really know what the liability is right now when it comes to
right. But
shows.
even in interviewing, like are you creating a list of artists that you really want to interview, or is that something that you're using your network to do?
Yeah, I am creating a list, but now I'm using my network. So at first it was really hard because they were like, who the fuck's this kid, right? Like I wasn't like really anybody in the industry when it came to making content or had anything to show. So once I started interviewing a few artists, like a few bigger artists, I had something to show. I had credibility, right? So now when I send this out to different managements and labels, they're like, oh shit, this is dope. Because I'm trying to be innovative. I'm trying to change the game. I'm trying to bring a new feel to the EDM community that hasn't been done before, So now I'm like, usually when I send out emails, like cold email artists, if I really want to work with them, sometimes they don't answer. Sometimes they do. They shelve me for like a few months down the line. We're releasing this during this time period, right? Reach back out then. And other times I mainly just use the flow of my connections because you just meet people along the way. And they're like, yo, I know this guy. Like, I know this guy. I know this guy. And if you're interested in that DJ, if it's a big enough artist that would like help your brand, or if you want to help them, then you take it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, we're going through the same thing, right? Where I've never interviewed anybody. Gary's never interviewed anybody. Right. And like the same idea where like we need to start shooting content, and we started a YouTube thing and interviews on the YouTube show. And then the podcast, and it's like, we're learning on the fly. So like, how has it been for you? Not having an interview background to now be interviewing these big artists.
It's like, I definitely had to learn some skills and tactics and study like other, like, this is going to sound pretty cliche and corny. I studied other talk show hosts online. Like I studied like another one, how I studied a good interview tactic was the Hot Ones guy. Like I was like, all right, like how the fuck did he grow so fast? Like what are his tactics? And he's a really genuine dude who asks great questions. And I was like, all right, that's his style. So then stylistically, like you got to figure out who you are, right? You got to be like, all right, what's my personality? Like, what do I bring to the table? And I kind of studied that. I knew I could talk to people. I knew I was genuine. I have a lot of energy. And I just kind of like figured out my strengths in different ways, There's always room to improve. And like, really it's just like fucking go for it,
Yeah. I think after watching your interview with Nico and Sway, like that works for you. Definitely. Like it was fun. It was cool. You asked a lot of you asked good questions, but then there was also like the fun side and like truth or dare, or you're asking never have I ever questions. Like it was cool. And you could see that like you shined in that situation because I think that was you. Like that would be.
That's me, man. That's fully me. I'm not hiding shit. So like
that's the most, for me at least, that's the most important part of anybody who's putting things out there is to be very much you. I think everybody can tell if you're faking it to make it, right? Like, you know what? There's plenty of quote unquote influencers out there, and there's plenty of content creators out there that, listen, we can tell if you're bullshitting. Right. Especially like us New Jersey, New York people.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You could see it in a second. So like, if you're not going to be authentic and you're not going to be true to yourself, then, putting anything out there just doesn't really make sense. And it comes through in your audience can tell, like, wow, this is really good. You want to know why? Because you guys aren't bullshit. You're not. And some of our avid listeners feel that way, and I feel that way whenever I'm consuming anything religiously, because I could put something on for 2 seconds and be like, okay, this guy's bullshit. And he's just trying to make a buck. I'm out. I'm not watching this.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, when you have to put yourself in those situations where you are the most comfortable.
It's true. Yeah.
Right. It can't be like this. It can't be like this Barbara Walters special thing for most of us, right? We're in the fucking entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be just sit down and ask questions. It's got to have.
Gary and I usually just drink beers and bullshit. And that's the podcast.
That's a good stylistic, man. See, like a lot of it too is like not doing the old school talk show bullshit too, where like you sit on the couch and they're like, so hey, how you doing? You know what I mean? Like, that's like I feel like that's very old school, and like new generation of people don't consume that as much. Like I don't know many people my age or even in their younger 30s that are watching like the talk shows as much anymore. Like my parents like talk about Saturday Night Live and all that shit still, but like I just feel like it's a new age, it's a new age of doing stuff. It's all about authenticity, like especially when it comes to social media content.
I had a question for you relating to going back to like, how COVID's going to affect just kind of the festival industry as a whole. Obviously, it's going to have a huge effect, right? But how do you see this rolling out? Like, being so close to it. I think you have a better idea than we do, at least.
Oh yeah, no, I'd love to answer this, especially because there is so much going on right now behind closed doors that like. So what's happening at the moment right now is there are festivals being planned, right? And as far as them happening in the United States right now, it's a little bit of like a silver lining, like not sure. So what's going on right now is a lot of these festival groups are going down to Mexico. They're going down to Mexico and organizing these festivals, but they're keeping this shit on the low right now because they don't want to get shit from other brands and other countries. And like, there's this whole like industry, like, oh, if you're playing shows, like you're not doing the right thing or like some shit like that. Right. So like there are festivals that are being planned right now down in Mexico that might happen this summer. Wink. That might happen this summer. I know of a few lineups that have been getting put out for like Cancun. I know some that have been getting put out for like all over down in Mexico. So they're literally just relocating to a place that is going to allow this. I don't know what the rules and regulations are going to be behind it. I don't know if they're going to enforce like what kind of like social distancing and stuff along those lines. But I do know that there are festivals being planned and they might happen as soon as this summer.
Yeah, I mean, based on videos that I've been seeing, I don't think there's going to be any.
You don't think there's going to be any?
I don't know. I mean, based on watching my friends go to Tulum and go to other places in Mexico, there's not really any rules as far as I can see, but I don't know.
You don't think there's going to be any rules? Oh, I thought you were going to say there were going to be any festivals.
Yeah, no, there's going to be no rules, I think.
Yeah.
There might be festivals, but...
Yeah, listen, we all have friends that have fucking shot down at Tulum and rented a yacht with their girlfriend or something. You know what I mean? So like, we've seen that. And I'm being serious. Like, I think they're gonna happen as soon as like 3 months from now, 3 or 4 months from now. That's gonna be the thing. Until someone shuts it down or someone says something, or I don't know, but
you can feel it.
I see happening right now.
You can feel it in the air here. So like, we're obviously a vacation destination. Just Orlando is pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I work at a resort and you can see it. Like, people are coming back in groups. So like the groups that were coming in last year around the same time, well, that wasn't happening 2 weeks ago. And now you're having groups come back and families come back. And you could see like the party scenes picking up around here. And it's like out there, on people's stories and whatnot. And there's just like a feeling in the air. And I'm like, in 3 months, I think like we're going to see some kind of normalcy. And if it's not here, you're right. It's going to be somewhere close enough.
Yep. It's going to be somewhere close enough where people are going to be willing to travel to, which they will be because everyone's dying for live music and shows. I mean, I've been down here in Florida. I'm not going to lie. I've seen a few DJs the past few weeks perform, and like it just kind of is what it is down here. Like, and I know like I'm being careful around like who I'm like getting too close to or whatever, but like shit's kind of just happening down here. So in the foreseeable future, there's going to be stuff happening for sure. I know like up by you, Anthony, like you guys might be a little hungrier for it right now.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm hoping for some Atlantic City gigs. I'm hoping for some Jersey Shore stuff to open up and not just be, you know, like people sitting at a table type thing. That's my hopes for the summer. I don't know if that's going to happen. I might be on the move a little bit this summer and down in Florida and wherever I can kind of link with people that don't have as tight a rules, but we'll see, I guess. Right.
Definitely. I hope that New Jersey opens up a bit. I think that maybe they'll do like some outdoor stuff in Jersey. Like, I don't know, the DJs like outdoor thing they were doing this past summer. Maybe, I don't know, like they've had a year to figure it out. Right. So maybe venues are going to build bigger outdoor areas if that restricts them from keeping people inside. You know, I would get creative if I owned one of those bars.
Yeah, they're gonna have to, and I think they will. Last year, no one was really ready, whereas this year they've had since last summer to plan what's going to happen this summer. So,
yeah, and that like they will or should be like prepared for a worst case scenario of it being outside.
Yeah,
you know? Like as a venue, that's your responsibility to figure out.
Yeah, man.
How do we get more fucking people in the door? How do we create this experience to be the best so I get these people to keep coming back in? You know.
All right, we're getting towards the end here. I want to hit you with a couple like real quick hitters. We don't have to go deep on anything. Just like first thing you think of. Favorite artist right now to listen to?
Oh man,
I know that's a hard one. One of. And are you going to give us a democratic answer? Somebody you're working with?
No, I'm just gonna give you guys what I've been feeling because like I've been down here in Miami. You know who I'm like a really big fan of, who I've been listening to lately? It's Eden Prince.
Okay.
All right.
I'm into
that. Giving me that groove vibe. I've been down here looking at palm trees, walking along, and just being like, "Ooh," you know.
Listen, that'll change your mood and what you want to listen to. I'm up here listening to like the deepest, darkest bass shit, like. All right, favorite nightlife experience, like a city, a place, just something that sticks out.
Oh wow. All right. One of my favorite nightlife experiences, actually, this is one of my favorite clubs in the world, would be Omnia Las Vegas. I don't know if you guys want.
Yeah, the place is insane.
Yeah. So Omnia Las Vegas, since I went to Arizona State, I was going there since the day I turned 21, and even when I was 20 years old with a fake ID. So I kind of grew up around there. I love that place.
Yeah, Omni is incredible. It's
the
just like
the setup, the moving chandelier above your head. It's like,
if you don't know somebody, you're gonna spend $1,000, but to have a good time. But like,
yeah.
All right, favorite Jersey club.
Oh wow. Yo, I'm gonna sound pretty typical for this, but I have to say DJs.
I mean, it's gotta be DJs.
I gotta say it.
That was an alley-oop right there. I knew that was coming.
Real.
All right, next one. Pork roll or Taylor ham?
Hey, pork roll. Pork roll, egg and cheese on a sesame bagel, salt, pepper, ketchup.
Man. All right. That's all I got, man. We really appreciate you jumping on. Do you have anything you want to plug? We'll put all your links and Instagram and all that stuff in the show notes. But
yeah. Sure. Check me out at the Electrical guys at the Electrical. I'm going to be doing a bunch of artist content curation, all things EDM, dancers. I do a little bit of work with Angelo the Kid if you guys want to get a little bit of a TikTok Jersey vibe. So shout out to you guys, shout out to Anthony, shout out to Gary. You guys are killing it. And I'll be back in Jersey at some point this summer. So
we'll definitely get up. Big shout to Angelo. We appreciate you doing some stuff with Angelo. You know, anybody that is a friend and fan to our guys is a friend to us. So, you know, big shout to Angelo.
Yo, big shout out to you guys. Keep crushing it. Keep doing your thing. I know these are weird times, but I know things are going to turn around soon. So that's it.
Doing what we can.
Keep grinding.
Man. All right, guys. Thanks for checking out this episode of The Get Down with our very special guest, Bobby from the Electric Cult. My name is Cream.
Gary W.
Peace out, guys.
Peace.
See you guys. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, bro. That was all.